on. I think what I want to do is a little, I guess, tour of, I don't want to say journal ecosystem, because that's kind of played out at this point. But yeah, I guess kind of that. Mostly, I'm using this pocket size moleskin. It is a soft cover, and it's been modified a bit, just in terms of how I use the elastic, but also removing the spine so that it lays flat. And if you check out my first video, you can see me doing that here with this one, but I haven't started using it, so I can show you this one. This one is full of all of my writing ideas and journaling, poetry. It's just kind of an everything notebook. One of the things that I have discovered about myself, or accepted about myself, is that if I have too many different notebooks, like one for this, one for this. Oh, that's my cat jumping into her bed, knocking the video. Let me just make sure everything's good here. There we go, lovely, okay. So one of the things that I figured out about myself is that I'd seen so many people online with, you know, a whole stack of journals, and this one is for this, and this one is for this, and this one is for this, and I was like, oh, okay, that's how we do this, that's how we use it. And especially, I've been in the traveler's notebook. This one's empty right now, except for just my pockets that I use, and I'll talk about that in a second, I guess. But because this one is so modular, and I really like the idea of a modular setup, and I had this one set up, and I had a passport one set up, and I was bringing them both everywhere with me, and then it just sort of became, which place do I want to write this? And one of the things that I find for me is that and this is kind of getting more philosophical than maybe I planned to do in a notebook video, but here it is. I guess for me, I am very big on the interconnectedness of all things. And so for me, having a notebook for this type of note-taking, and a notebook for this type of note-taking, and a notebook for this type of note-taking, it's like, oh, this is an idea, and this is a this, and this is a, it was, then I don't go back and look at them, and trying to figure out, okay, am I grabbing the right notebook, and am I switching to the right? It just doesn't work for me. The other thing that I didn't really love about this was the planners, like the calendar and then the notebook. For me, it just vibes-wise, I don't like to have concrete, task-oriented scheduling stuff mixed in with my creativity. And so then for a while, I had just kind of moved to using this as a creative journal. And I can show you, I made some inserts for that because I didn't like the orientation, I guess, of the moleskin, or not moleskin, the travelers kind of ones. I have tons of them, and I, you know, made them up, and, you know, you can see this weekly got a ton of use, not really, because again, it just wasn't for me. It just didn't work. So I only used about half of that, maybe. This one is daily, and again, just was using it for like a to-do list, but I didn't, because but it's dated for each month, and then just that wasn't the vibe that I liked in my creative notebooks. But I also, this felt really limiting trying to write on that, and so I had made some inserts for it. And this one, luckily, I flipped to a blank page, so I used just legal paper, and I decorated, this one's sort of a mess, but had decorated them and made them so that I could turn it landscape, so they were in here, and then just kind of, you know, open up to, I'm gonna make sure I open up to a blank piece of paper, because this is not something I want to share with the internet yet. Maybe someday. Right, and then this could more freeform think, I don't know, for some reason the length of the line was tied to the way I could express the idea, at least for a while. And so I was doing that for a bit, but then I had missed the sort of format of this size. Before I was in this, I had this one, and this is about 2 years ago, I think, at this point, that I got into this one, and it was simply as a way of reducing my screen time. So I was finding that I was spending way too much time just mindlessly scrolling on my phone, and then feeling, you know, like everybody does, this is such a common thing, which is so shocking to me that we haven't collectively just abandoned the phones yet. But this was anytime that I was reaching for my phone, I would just reach for this instead. And even if I was writing, I'm trying to avoid using my phone, I'm not going on my phone right now. And getting through that kind of initial phase of it meant that I was able to access my ideas. I'm not one of those people who is like, well, here are ideas to fill a journal. I don't find that I have a dearth of things to say once I do get going. And so I filled this up in, 3 months, I think, of just kind of random writing. I write poetry, I write fiction, I write essays, but I also just kind of like to think through my thoughts on paper. That helps me figure out things. I think it was Flannery O'Connor there's a quote of hers that she has to, in order to know what she thinks, she has to write about it so that she can read what she thinks. And I feel like that's kind of adjacent to how I feel about that. So that was where I started. And then I had moved into this thinking, okay, I want more space. This kind of became, it's not as portable, it's bigger. Some things that I liked about it, I found this was a wallet, and it had like a little zipper pouch, and that was sort of falling apart anyway. And so I took that out and just tucked this in as a pocket insert. And this one I've had, you can see this is the old Midori. I think I've had this since maybe 2015. And my initial passport one I also got around the same time. It's also the brown. I think at the time it only came in brown and black. And so this one you can't see super well probably because of the lighting, but the lamp over there was washing everything out. And so there is, there's coffee stains, and there's patina, and there's scratches, and I love that. But I also restrung this. So there's a great video that I watched on adding a string. So this one now has 2 strings instead of 1, which helps with overhang if you're putting lots of inserts. And so when I did that, that was when I was using this for a monthly planner, a weekly planner, and a journal. So I think I had a monthly planner, a weekly planner, a daily planner, and a scratch pad in here, which was that was so long ago, and it's so not how I think and how I use my journals anymore. And I love about this, and just about journaling in general, that don't take it so seriously, and you can change it over time, and it's whatever you want it to be. So I added this to it, I restrung it. The other thing that I had, and I don't have this with me, but I have like an empty one down here in this drawer of goodness. Maybe here we go. I had just these little like mini composition notebooks that I just get from the Dollar Tree or wherever. This one is empty, but I had one of these as a commonplace book here. That is one thing that I do like to separate out from my regular journaling, is a commonplace book, just to keep quotations or words to look up. Sometimes there's a pen test in there, that sort of thing. Only because I like to separate out other people's words from my own. But if it's a quote that's making me want to, like I'm ruminating on that quote and what it might mean, and expanding on the idea presented in the quote, I might write just the quote in here and then recopy it into here and keep writing. And that is one thing that, moving out of this and just moving back to the pocket, I did lose that of having the commonplace notebook kind of with me and my writing at all times. But it's not a super big deal. This, it fits in here if I need it to. Usually I just grab them and stick them in my bag, my work bag, or my purse, or whatever. That's the other thing about this, is that even if I'm using like just a bum bag, like a little belt bag, it fits on. This will fit in there. This, I have to commit to using an entire purse, which for me, not really the vibe. Not all the time anyway. So that was one thing that I moved out of there for. I just also liked how clean this was, that it wasn't as many sort of steps to get in to where I want it to be, especially if there's multiple notebooks in here. I have ADHD, and so one of the things that I tend to struggle with is different like steps, almost working as like when you walk into a room and you immediately forget why you're in there. The act of even opening the journal sometimes, or having to kind of fish through the different notebooks to find it, that sort of thing doesn't work for me. So that also is another reason why I kind of do everything in one notebook. I do have a work planner that is not here because boundaries. And that one is just it's an A4 Muji planner. I picked it up when I was in Boston this summer. Went to their store, which was super fun. Just to kind of see all of the little things that I had seen online, people using. And but I picked up the A4 planner and the A5 planner, the academic year ones. They have like a removable sort of plastic cover, not the clear plastic, that has the date on it, but it's just kind of a lay flat bound book style planner, almost like these. And it's weekly on one side and then just grid paper on the other, and it has all of the months in the academic year through the summer at the front. So I got the A4 for myself. I'm a teacher, and so that works best for me to kind of have the space to plan lessons on the grid side and write down whatever homeworks or things are on this side. And I got the A5 for my daughter starting high school, so we have those that match. But that's kind of really the only other thing in the setup.